Have you ever given someone everything, only to watch them erase you like you were a side character in their success story? I gave my son a truck, a solid, reliable Ford F-150, brand new, fully paid off, title under my name. I worked 7 years to afford it. He took the keys, didn't even look me in the eye, just said, I thought it'd be a newer model. That's when something small inside me cracked. But back then I still thought, maybe he's just under stress. Maybe it's just nerves. I didn't know I was slowly writing the first page of a revenge story. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet, powerful kind. The kind that starts with silence. My name is Teresa Langdon. I'm 61 years old. I clean houses for a living in a small Ohio suburb, and I raised my son, Bryce, on my own. His father left before Bryce was 3, ran off with a woman who wore perfume like armor and never looked back. I wasn't bitter. I didn't have time for that. I worked mornings at the school cafeteria, evenings doing laundry for the motel off I-75. On Sundays, I took extra cleaning gigs, bathrooms, basements, garages, whatever paid in cash. Every dollar went to the same place. Bryce's future. He was always talented, bright, talkative. The kind of boy who built science projects from cereal boxes and believed he could run a company one day. And I believed it too. I didn't spoil him with money. We never had much, but I spoiled him with effort. Field trips? I packed his lunches with handwritten notes. Broken sneakers? I'd stitch them back together instead of buying new ones. He needed a laptop for a high school? I pawned my engagement ring, and when he got into college, I cried in the bathroom with the door shut, holding the acceptance letter like it was a miracle in ink. I still remember the night I logged into the dealership website, clicked purchase. $32,000, all cash, no loans. That truck was my final gift, the thing I thought would send him into the world with pride and stability. I imagined him smiling, grateful, maybe hugging me tight like when he was 10 and scraped his knee. Instead, he glanced at the truck and shrugged. This it? I laughed it off that day, but a mother knows. Sometimes it's not what they say, it's what they don't say. And his silence that afternoon, it said more than any thank you ever could. I didn't know it then, but that shrug, that moment, it was the beginning of something I never thought I'd live through. It was the start of being forgotten. The video found me by accident. I wasn't even looking for it. I was scrolling through Facebook during my lunch break, half a sandwich in one hand, aching knees propped up on a milk crate, when a friend from church sent me a message. Teresa, is this your Bryce? There was a link, a TikTok. I opened it. There he was, my son, in a blazer, standing in front of a shiny new conference banner that read, Young Entrepreneurs, From Nothing to Something. He smiled into the camera and said, 2 years of working nonstop, bought my first truck last spring. No loans, no handouts, just grit. Then he winked. Winked. I just sat there, my fingers numb. That truck? I bought that truck, paid in full, with 7 years of overtime, skipped meals, and hand-me-down shoes. And now I was a ghost in his origin story. A few people in the comments were gushing over him. Wow, so inspiring. Wish my mom was that supportive. If only they knew. I tried calling him that night just to talk. No lectures, just to say, I saw your video. But the call didn't even ring. It went straight to voicemail. I tried again from the house phone. Same thing. Then I saw it. Blocked. My own number. By my own son. You ever feel that? Not just ignored, not just avoided, erased. Like you never existed. Like your years of sacrifice were inconvenient footnotes in someone else's version of the truth. Let me ask you something, especially if you're a mother like me. Have you ever poured yourself into someone only to be written out of the story later, like you were just background? If that hits home, tell me below. I'm listening. I stared at my phone that night, wondering what I did wrong. I replayed every conversation we had the past year, trying to find the moment things shifted. I kept thinking, maybe he's just stressed. Maybe it's just a phase. But deep down, I knew this wasn't a phase. This was a choice. He didn't just want to step into adulthood. He wanted to rewrite the past. And in his version of the story, I was never part of the climb. It's strange how a person can be alive and breathing, but still feel like they've been buried. That's how it felt those first few weeks after Bryce blocked me. No calls, no texts, no "Hey, Mom," not even a cold, distant "Hope you're well." Just silence. I kept checking my phone anyway, out of habit, out of hope. You'd be surprised how loud silence can be. I tried to make sense of it. Told myself maybe he was busy, maybe he was finding himself. But every time I opened social media, there he was, flourishing, smiling, shaking hands at networking events, posing beside luxury sedans that weren't his. He looked like he was winning. And I was just trying to breathe through the ache of being erased. Then came the real gut punch. A woman I used to clean houses for. Her son went to the same university as Bryce, sent me a screenshot from a student finance site. She said, "You might want to look into this." At first, I didn't understand. Then I saw it. My name, listed as the primary vehicle owner for a loan request. Bryce had submitted paperwork to use the truck I bought, still under my name, as collateral for a $20,000 personal loan. No call, no text, no "Hey, Mom, can I?" Just forged ahead like I was some legal technicality he could bypass. That night, I pulled out the folder where I kept all the car documents. Sure enough, the truck title was in my name. No cosigner, no transfer, no loophole. He didn't just forget me, he used me. I sat there in the dark, my hands shaking over the title paper. How did we get here? From bedtime stories and scraped knees, to TikToks that denied my existence, and now this? He didn't want me in his life, but he still wanted access to what I could give. And that was when the sadness shifted into something else. Not anger, not yet, but awareness. I hadn't just lost a son's affection, I'd lost my place in his reality. He had cut me out like a name off a mailing list, except he still wanted the packages to arrive. That kind of loss doesn't come with flowers or condolences. It just sits quietly in your chest, cold and heavy, like love that went bad, but no one cared enough to say goodbye. The hardest decisions don't come with fireworks. They come in the quiet, when the only sound in the room is your own breathing and the fridge humming in the corner. I sat at the kitchen table that night, surrounded by papers, loan disclosures, title documents, and a printout from the credit union's verification email, $20,000. That's what my son was trying to borrow, using a truck I bought under my name without a single word to me. It wasn't just the money, it was what it meant. He didn't want me in his life, but he still wanted what my name could get him. He blocked my number, denied me in public, erased me online, but kept me on file at the bank. I'd like to say I got mad, slammed something, cried. But the truth? I just sat there numb. A numb that felt like clarity. That's when I did it. I opened a new tab and typed in, "How to cancel power of attorney for vehicle loan." Then I called the bank. I wasn't rude. I wasn't dramatic. I just said, "There's been a misunderstanding. I never authorized this. That title is mine, and I'd like to revoke any pending use as collateral." The woman on the phone sounded surprised. Maybe she expected a clueless old lady. What she got was a mother who had finally stopped waiting for permission to take her power back. By the next morning, the loan was flagged. The request was frozen. A few days later, I got confirmation in the mail. Bryce's application was denied due to unverifiable ownership. He didn't call, didn't ask, didn't even pretend to explain. Of course he didn't, because boys like Bryce don't think the bridge will ever burn. They assume it'll always be there, solid, dependable, quietly holding up the weight of their choices. But that day, I stopped being a bridge and started being a boundary. For the first time in 21 years, I wasn't his safety net. I was simply me. A woman who had been erased one too many times and finally chose to exist on her own terms. And as I sat there sipping coffee, real coffee, not the instant stuff, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not revenge, not pride, relief. The day I sold the truck, I didn't cry. I thought I would. I thought I'd stand in the driveway clutching the keys, thinking of all the sacrifices I made to put that thing in my son's hands. But I didn't. I handed over the title, watched the buyer drive it off with a smile, and walked back inside with $24,000 in my checking account. And peace I hadn't felt in years. I didn't tell anyone. Not Bryce, not even the women from my Thursday cleaning crew. This wasn't a story I needed to explain. This was a moment I needed to live. That same night, I reopened an old browser tab I'd bookmarked years ago, Venice. I used to dream about it when Bryce was little, on the nights I'd collapse into bed with a sore back and a sink full of dishes. I'd imagine the water taxis, the soft bells in the morning, the little cups of espresso on sun-warmed balconies. Now, I didn't have to imagine. I booked the flight, 3 weeks out, enough time to sort my schedule, renew my passport, and find a suitcase that didn't smell like bleach. And then I started living. Not in some dramatic makeover movie kind of way, but in quiet, intentional steps. I signed up for a beginner's watercolor class at the rec center. I bought myself a proper winter coat, not one from the clearance bin. I called the power company and paid off the overdue bill with ease. No stress, no juggling. I wasn't rebuilding for anyone else, not for a man, not for a child, not for social media, just me. And you know what surprised me the most? I didn't miss the noise. The constant giving, the unspoken obligation, the late-night texts that only came when someone needed a favor. In that stillness, I found something I didn't even know I'd lost, myself. I was no longer the woman refreshing her messages, hoping to be acknowledged. I wasn't waiting for a thank you or an apology. I didn't need Bryce to say I mattered, because for the first time in decades, I was living like I mattered. And that was the real beginning. Not revenge, not a victory lap, just a quiet, glorious rebirth. The email came on a Tuesday morning. Subject line, loan denied, ownership conflict. I stared at it for a full minute, sipping coffee from the mug Bryce made me in 5th grade. The paint was chipped, the handle cracked, but I kept it. Not because it was pretty, but because it once meant something. There was no anger left in me, just that same stillness I'd felt in Venice, standing on a footbridge at dawn, watching the world move gently forward, with or without you. A few days later, my phone rang, unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. Mom. His voice was smaller than I remembered, like he was speaking from a place he hadn't been in a long time, humbled. I just got a notice from the bank. The loan didn't go through. Did you do something? I took a breath. I protected what's mine, I said. You blocked me, Bryce. You shut me out, but you still wanted to use my name, my credit, my history, my sacrifices. He was silent. I didn't do it to punish you, I added. I did it to remind myself I'm not invisible. His voice cracked. I was stupid. I thought I could handle everything. I didn't want people to think I needed help. But you did need help, and instead of asking, you erased me. Another long pause. I'm sorry. And maybe he meant it. But I wasn't waiting to be validated anymore. He didn't owe me perfection, but he owed me the truth. Weeks passed. He didn't reach out again right away, and I didn't chase. Instead, I kept going. Took my watercolor class, cooked dinners for one, slept better than I had in years. Then, one afternoon, I came home to find a small package at my door. Inside, a sketch. A simple pencil drawing of me, sitting at our kitchen table, coffee mug in hand, window light across my shoulder. At the bottom, in small handwriting, still the hero. No apology, no fanfare, just a quiet recognition. And somehow, that was more than enough. Have you ever had someone finally see your worth, after years of overlooking it? Tell me below, because sometimes the most powerful kind of revenge is choosing yourself and letting them notice too late.